Well then, Railroader. A lot has happened in the last month, which is some good, some bad. First off, we have British rolling stock, and we're getting like British elements into the game, which should really like change the way that the game feels for people. Because for me, I'm getting really bored of the American rolling stocks and all those large things. So I'm starting to play a smaller form save with smaller form cards because there's a lot more limitations with using the British rolling stock and the British locomotives and only using the British stuff than there is using something like the fucking T1, which can pull the fucking mountain. And I think that's great. There's a lot more diversity. Track mods are getting easier as things like map editor are allowing you to just directly place buildings into the map. Just straight up, you can just straight up place them into the map. And like this area here, what you're seeing here, it's a combination of three mods. A yard mod, which has been heavily modified, the munitions factory, and a little custom make of my own to add a turntable and a bit more spice to the area. The modifications to the yard would have fixed a couple of issues that there were. Like there was all the yards built out of industry tracks, and what happened was the creator of this yard, they banked the industry track, and it caused it to get all like freaky, and it got really like shoddy and all that. So it wasn't that good, but doesn't take much to fix it. I just really went in and just realigned the nodes so that they were flat instead of banked. Because that was for the logging unload line, which really doesn't need it. Another unfortunate thing is with Railroader and its current issue with America having no thing. I can't actually pull up this page, so this is just a screenshot, unfortunately, so I can't see what's underneath the what's on the second part of this scroll. But Zamu, who is the creator of Railloader and quite a few modding tools which are really useful, has taken down his website for being able to be used in America due to the tariffs that have been going on. And he goes on to state all this stuff. Like, I might as well just read it here. Let's rewind a bit. In 2024, the USA decided that they would give a previous president another shot because he's doing such an awesomely big job. Really, it's true. The first time around, the world, minus some very obvious actors, collectively scratched their heads in confusion. But ultimately, it's the right of the US citizens to vote for the government they choose. The actions of the current administration since then have been far reaching global consequences. And that first paragraph is very true. The tariffs that have been happening, all of the layoffs, the fact that while the campaign was running, the Secret Service or whoever the hell they were, I can't remember. It's such a scandal, but they literally let a sniper onto one of the roofs, and there was a guy right there next to the guy, and they let him shoot at Trump, which it started a lot of outrage, and some for good, some for worse. It's just like, how the hell did they let him onto the roof? And then some people were complaining that he missed. I couldn't care less. As long as it doesn't affect me overall, US can be the US. But if it affects me too much and it makes my cost of living skyrocket, I will get pretty pissed off. But enough about that. The global tensions have been rising. In April 2025, the USA announced that major tariffs against particularly the entire world, including uninhabitable islands, there is an island inhabited by only penguins that has a tariff. Who knows why? Due to trade defects, threatening the national security. I don't believe that's true. National security, that's a bit of an outreach. But trade defect, yeah, maybe. Don't really know. On August 1st, another round of tariffs was announced to take effect on the 7th of August. And for Switzerland, they're staggering up to 39%. That is going to cause cost of living to go skyrocketing in Switzerland. Like, that is, like, getting to serious proportions. It's clear these measures go beyond reasonable economic policy, and in Zamu's opinion, they reek of power plays meant to courier countries into submission. I know we're getting around to the point where World War III might be happening, but with the current situation, I feel like these tariffs are going to make the doomsday clock go lower. For those of you who don't know what the doomsday clock is, it is something that happens every year. A group of scientists come together and weighs like all the wars going on and the threat of like World War III and nukes dropping happening, and it was like bouncing up and down, but for the last like 20 or so years, it's only been declining. And we have hit a record low this year of 90 seconds to midnight. Once the doomsday clock hits midnight, the end of the world might very much happen. And these tariffs probably are not going to help that. I feel like in the next year, we're going to go down significantly, potentially close to 60 seconds. Anyways, I will continue now. I believe that, well, this is not me. Zamu believes that staying silent in the face of such actions would be complicit. Some might argue they're just ordinary citizens who don't make policies, or that they want to avoid politics altogether and just play a train game. Which is true, that not everyone has a direct political influence. And yeah, no, the USA does not require you to vote. If they required voting, I feel like the outcome would have probably been changed. We have a responsibility to engage with our governments and hold them accountable. Apathy and ignorance are precisely what allowed harmful policies to take root. Yeah, I mean, that's true. As much as I want to not, like, get all that hate and stuff, it is decently true. Like, at this point, people in the US should be questioning whether or not to throw the president out because of the way that he's handling it. Because tariffs were used once before 100 years ago, and that never worked. It made chaos happen, and bringing tariffs back again 100 years later, I don't think is going to change the outcome. Especially when we've just come out of a global pandemic. In fact, the Swiss founding myth is quite relevant, in his opinion. William Tell rebelled against the oppressive rule of the Hasenberg, specifically Glesser, which led to the Ruly Oath and the formation of the Old Confidentially. He definitely doesn't see himself as a Tell, but it would be strange and a step backwards if we were, yeah, if you submitted to authority again, which is fair. Like, Sweden is a mismatch of history from what I know. I don't know much about Swiss history, but yeah. Or is in the story that bow before a hat on a stick? The apple that the story should not have died for nothing. By restricting access to countries, Dami deems hostile to his country's safety and prosperity, specifically the 39% tariffs, as an example, would see smaller and medium-sized businesses in danger, including the jobs attached to them, which does not include his own. He's sending out a message that he's not going to sit idly by this while his livelihood's threatened. He also very much understands it will cause inconvenience to American users, but he hopes that everyone understands by taking this action to protect his country and stand up for what he believes. Now, I love the initiative that Zami's done, but I feel like targeting the railroaders, like the people that just really want the train games, is potentially not the right step, because railroader would make up such a insignificant amount of America that wouldn't really be worth it. But I will tell you all this: if you use a VPN, it will most likely bypass this, because if you get a VPN to another country, say Australia or even Sweden for that matter, or Russia even, if you really wanted to, you could potentially just straight up bypass this. I don't know what countries are banned. I know that the US is banned because you know that. I also don't have access to the second part of this because I can't get this message to pop up for myself. And I could only find this screenshot of it. So Railroader, it's getting downhill, and the devs have also they've put their thoughts in, and Railroader has been in early access for over 18 months, which is wild to think that we're getting close to 2 years of Railroader, and it is still going very strong. It's still in early access, but we're getting close to having an MOW update, which is a massive thing for the game, because it involves rewriting almost the entire game to do. Because they've got to rewrite the way that the track's done and all that, which is why it's been taking a while. Because it's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded about Railroad, and that was when the announcement dropped. When I seen that the announcement dropped, I immediately made the video and uploaded it. They don't support modding because the game isn't stable enough in their opinion. Like, the game's still getting modified heavily, which is even breaking Railroader sometimes. Like, Railroader will sometimes go down on a major update, which is why experimental is key when some of these major updates happen. And I hope that MOW goes into experimental so that Railroader can get fixed before it goes to the main branch, because otherwise it will cause a lot of issues. And it really has not stopped the modding community. Like, the modding community's been fantastic. People have made B-Man specifically, the GP40 coming out. That was like a great step forwards in the modding community. And then again, when we got placeable water towers and coal stations and fueling depots, that was also another great step in the modding. And I think we might potentially be getting close to unlocking map data, but I'm not sure. I'm not in the back end. I don't have access to any of the modder channels, because whenever I make mods, I usually just make them for personal use. I don't upload them because no one has my specific mod set, because it's usually fixing a ton of different mods at the same time so that I don't have to be writing several different mods. The only mod that I did publish was the Birdtown connection, because it didn't require any other mods. It was just for Birdtown. So the modding support is on their roadmap as a 1.0 feature, which is for a while, and they've made significant progress on it, which some have found, such as asset pack systems and the in-game definition editor. It's just not stable for them. In early access, they're making the game better, as well as we have a very small portion of the Murphy branch, and I feel like when we get to 1.0, there's a chance that we might be able to get the entire Murphy branch and maybe like another branch line, or maybe 3. 3 would be great, because then that gives diversity. Or maybe even being able to use the class 1, like just being able to haul a freight on the main line and all that. they they bring up into folk. Then they talk about Zamu with users being able to do it, to not being able to access in the United States, and saying there's nothing they can do about it because it's a third party, and they understand and empathize with frustration. But yeah, they say no one can control the modders. The modders are independent from everyone. Like occasionally you'll see people like work with the WNCRR, which I would like if they release some of their mods that they already have completed, because there are some mods there that look very polished and aren't available yet, which is a little sad because they've been showcasing them for a couple of months. Like some mods can be showcased for months, like completed, and then we just haven't heard anything on if it's going to come out. Like the Brit stuff, there's a couple of locomotives that haven't come out, but they look fully polished. Like they look like they are ready to come out. So I don't know why they aren't released. Because in the latest one, they have the number 5, which is the R6 class, and it looks fine, but it's not released. And then you've also got the buffer stops, those British buffer stops. They're British buffer stops. Why aren't they released? And yeah, they just talk about playing with mods. And it's just like, yeah, it's forever changing. And then they wrap up with thanking the modders. And then if I scroll down a very little bit, they also do mention that MOW is coming along nicely and they're looking forward to share about it soon. So it'll be nice to hear about MOW progress. Potentially, they might say that it's probably like maybe a week or two away from being released, and they're gonna be ready to shove it out onto early access. Well, not early access, but the experimental branch, which I will be jumping into the moment that drops and the moment that I can see it, because MOW is going to change the game, which might even end up in save restarts due to there being so much more detail now and people wanting to redo the milestones, because a lot is getting overhauled. So I really hope to see that when it comes out, because I'm really looking forward to it. So for anyone that watches these every week, see you next week. For anyone who watches Railroader stuff in particular, I'll see you when Railroader is next on.